Hello my dear students. So as you know, we have already started covering the second chapter of the Telangana State Board's biology book for class 8 for this new session of 2025-2026 session. And in this second chapter, the first video, I have already covered the basic ideas of cell. Effectively, I have covered all the topics from page number 16 onwards to page number 21. Okay, now to look into those videos, and today we will start after that. So effectively, where we have ended is regarding amoeba. Okay, I have shown you live video of amoeba, how it moves around and all that, remember in our last video. And today we are going to talk about other microscopic organisms, unicellular. Say for example, we will talk about E. coli, okay, and then we will talk about the diversity that we observe in the various types of cells in a human being, okay, and then we will talk about what is the difference between a human and an elephant in terms of cells. Do you think that the cell in an elephant is much larger? We will learn about these facts. Okay, so let's start. Okay, now before I proceed further, it's very important that I talk about something which is quite relevant in this matter. You see, regarding this chapter, you must understand that what we are effectively discussing is cell theory. What's that? It's basically a fundamental principle in biology, and it states three important things. First, all living organisms are composed of cells. Next, cells are the basic units of life. And the third one is all cells come from pre-existing cells. That means what you are seeing yourself today as a human being, okay, and you effectively also previously came from a single cell, okay. So how is it possible? Actually what happens is that a single cell, there is a process called cell division, where a single cell becomes two cells, then each of them becomes two more cells, and so on. So effectively this is how cells multiply in number, okay. It's important that you learn this. Similarly, we also have something called cell death. So in this regard, let me show you two very interesting videos. Okay, so this is a video from YouTube, science source images. So see, you will be able to see this mitosis, which is a process. See, this is a single cell. Now something is going on inside the cell. All the materials inside the cell, it is being, you see, divided into two parts. And now we have two different cells. These are basically animal cells. So you see, the cell membrane separates, and we have now, instead of one over here, which was a single cell membrane, all the materials were inside, and now you see we have got, after the separation occurs somewhere around here, you see materials get separated, then soon cell membrane starts separating, and now we have got two cells. This is a process known as mitosis. You will learn about it in your higher classes, okay. Now let me show you what happens. This is yet another video from Howard Hughes Medical Institute. Here what you are seeing is the E. coli bacteria, right, that you have seen in the text. Now see what happens. What happens is that these are harmful bacteria. You see they are growing. Now what we have done is we have treated them with penicillin, and as a result you see all of them, they are bursting apart, they are exploding. So this is effectively cell death. We are destroying them for our own goodness, okay. You see, so this is also possible. So cells, they can take birth through the process of cell division, and also we can also see that there can be cell death as well. So dear students, keep this in mind. So this is why you take penicillin, okay, antibacterial medicines, okay, good, so that you can get rid of harmful bacteria from your body. Okay, so let us do a quick recap of what we have learned till now. So you see, just like a brick wall that you see over here, our body is composed of basic building blocks like this, and this is cell. Okay, now, so effectively the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of every living organism. You have to understand that there are very few organisms which are unicellular. Most of the organisms are multicellular. They have various types of cells in their bodies. And you must also remember that the cell is self-sufficient to carry out all the fundamental and essential functions of an organism. Now you see, the size of the cell may vary from a micrometer to a few centimeters. This you will learn soon in the text. And you see, this is the reason that we use microscope, since most of the cells are very small and cannot be seen with the naked eye. Okay, as an example, the smallest size of the cell is present in bacteria, and the size of the bacteria cell ranges from 0.01 micrometers to 0.5 micrometer. You remember what is 1 micrometer? It is 10 to the power minus 6 meters, right? Again, we have a large diversity in the size of the cell as well. See, on the other hand, the largest cell is that of the egg of an ostrich. And what's the width? Its width is a whopping 17 centimeters. Okay. Of course, you can see it with your naked eye. What about human body? Again, human body, it has got so many types of cells. Some are very small, and you see the largest one is the nerve cell. Okay. See, here I am showing you a graphic representation of the size of the cells. So many varieties. Well, virus, bacterium cell, you will learn about them in the coming chapters. Okay, plant cell, again egg of a human, egg of a frog, egg of a hen. Talking about egg of a hen, you see, it's also possible that you can see a cell with your own eyes, and that's not just an ostrich, an egg of a hen, right? It effectively, if you just break open an egg, what you see is a single cell. Okay, just try and observe it. Crack the shell and break open the egg in the plate. What you see, the egg has a yellow part and a transparent part, okay, surrounding it. You see, the white transparent part, albumen, is jelly-like, and effectively it represents the cell cytoplasm. Wow! While the yellow yolk that most of us do like is thicker, and it represents the cell's nucleus. See, there is cell around us and we really can see it. We don't always need microscope. On the internal side of the cell can be seen with a thin membrane-like structure which represents the cell's membrane. You will also learn soon in this chapter that the cell size has no relation to the size of an organism. So you see, it is not necessary that the cells of, say, an elephant should be larger than that of a mouse. Actually, an elephant has more number of cells than that of a mouse. Of course, some of the cells will be different in each of the organisms. Here we have elephant and mouse, so some of the cells can be different. Now you see, the number of cells that I was talking about is present in different organisms may vary. Some are unicellular, whereas others are multicellular, like us. So what about the number? Well, you see, the approximate number of cells in the human body is 3.7 10 to the power 13. Can you imagine such a large number? So we have talked about several unicellular organisms. Okay, now you can even observe the cells in a leaf. Okay, now you see various types of diagrams. Next, what do you think? Do we always do we always have cells where there is nucleus like this? Do we always have cells like that? Answer is no. You see, this is an important information which is outside your text, but I would like you to remember this because this is important, you students. You see, there are two major types of cellular organisms. Another classification. One is prokaryotes, another is eukaryotes. Now you see, prokaryotes are single-celled organisms that lack a nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. So they don't have any nucleus, no nucleus. So do we have an example? Of course, bacteria. Remember this, you will learn more about it in later classes. What about others? Eukaryotes, these are single-celled or multicellular organisms which have nucleus and other organelles. Say for example, you are an eukaryote, okay? Humans, dogs, cats, other animals and all that. Okay, now with this, look at the different kinds of cells of a human body. So remember this talk. Yes, here as you can see, I was talking about the number of cells and the types of cells. I was comparing, suppose there are cells like A, B, C, D, go on up to Z. So all of them are present in humans in large numbers, whereas in a small bird or a small fish, only some of them are present, okay? Or maybe some new types of present, but in lower numbers. Okay, and here you get to see the A, B, C, D type of cells for humans. You see the smooth muscle cell. You see the strained muscle cell. So there is an expansion and contraction type of stuff going on. Otherwise, muscles will not work. This is the bone cell. This is the nerve cell. Look at the tentacles. See, this is important. Why? Do you know? You see, the reason is the following. Through these tentacles, it will be able to convey the message from one nerve cell to another, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the reason why we have different type of tentacles. So they are for connection with some other cell and so on. Now look at the structure of the blood cell. We have got red blood cell and white blood cells. Okay, let me erase this one. Okay, now, and white blood cells also have granulocytes and analeukocytes and even some other cells. If you see a complete blood profile, CBC, okay, pure whole blood test, you will see the result of the number present for each of them. How much RBC, basophil, neutrophil, eosinophil, this is responsible for, if we have more of it in the blood, you will get allergy and all that. So there are lots of stuff involved. What you have to know, remember, is that the blood in our human body, what have you learned? It's not just a simple single type of cell. There are so many types of cells, and the reason is that each of them have different reason for existence, which is essential for sustaining human life. Okay, so don't just think of the blood as a simple fluid. It's not a simple fluid. It's a complex fluid having so many types of cells, each having its own different functions, and if we have lesser number of one type of cell, then we will be in great problem. Remember that, students. Next time when you visit a doctor, do ask him or her regarding the various importance of blood cell, their types and numbers. Maybe you will learn something new, and that will make an everlasting impression on you. Now, so I have already told you that all the cells, they are not same in shape and size, but remember that all the cells are ultimately determined by the specific function of the cells. We have talked about pseudopodia for the case of amoeba. Remember the fact that it doesn't even have a fixed shape, it keeps on evolving. Now look at yet another example I have talked about. Human versus elephant, human versus elephant. Elephant has more number of cells, maybe of different types. Human has less number of cells compared to elephant. Okay, good. Next, it is important to remember that the cell of an elephant is not bigger than that of a man. Both of them are made up of similar types of smaller cells, but the numbers are different. Okay, here the numbers are different. And it's not that a single cell, if the elephant would be made up of a single cell, it will be a very different type of stuff. If you want to learn more about it, do look into my video, but that's in Hindi, of course. Effectively, what happens is that, let me tell you, if you have two types of cell, one is small and one is large, the larger cell, you see, it has got a larger boundary, isn't it? See, the length of the boundary is so large. So what happens is that compared to the smaller cell, the movement of the particles needs to be restricted. Otherwise, more and more number of particles will get inside and the cell will not be able to handle it. And as a result, what happens is that if the cell size is much larger, all the processes inside this cell become slow, very slow. And so, as a result of this, if the cell is large, it will live longer compared to a smaller size cell, where these processes are much faster, and so they have lower lifetimes compared to the larger cell size. Now, okay. Now, so as I was saying, majority of the cells are too small to be seen with unaided eye. They can be seen only through microscope, and the smallest cell, what's the size? 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer, right? 1 micrometer. What is 1 micron? 1 micron is 10 to the power minus 6 meters. Remember this. Okay, and it's found in bacteria. What about human liver and kidney? A human liver or kidney cell is 20 to 30 micrometers in size. Now, some of the cells can be seen with naked eyes. I already told you that. Say for example, human nerve cell is nearly 90 to 100 centimeters long. Wow! What about the largest cell? Well, it's that of an ostrich, egg of the ostrich. So that's what I was saying. You see, the egg of an ostrich, its life is much longer compared to that of a small cell. Okay, what happens is that here all the processes become very slow, and this causes the life of an ostrich to be much larger compared to a small cell inside a human being. Next, the size of the cell is related to its function. For example, nerve cell in both man and elephant are long and branched. They perform the same function for transferring messages in both of them. So what I previously told you is that man and elephant, the numbers are different. Now some of the cells are same, some are different. Okay. Now the size of organism is dependent on the number of cell and not on the size of the cell. And cells are of different shapes, sizes and numbers in various organisms. Okay, students? So I'll meet you in the next chapter soon.